Chapter 12, page 61. I see it! There it is! The boys had made it to the bank and were following the river back to the bridge. Brandon pointed excitedly. "We've found it!" he announced to the others. Daniel and Scotty followed him up a rise. They laid Troy down and walked to the bridge. Now that it wasn't raining, it was easy to see that part of the bridge was missing. There was a gaping hole in the center. The three boys looked over the edge and stared at the swift running water below. "It's amazing any of us are still alive." Scotty looked downstream. "It's too bad about the driver. I wonder if they'll ever find his body." "They'll find him." Daniel stepped back. "When we get back, we'll give them the approximate location of the van. It probably hasn't moved that much. It was stuck pretty good." Daniel reached for his end of the stretcher. "We better keep moving. It's getting late. With any luck, we could run into a car sometime tomorrow." Scotty sighed and picked up his end. "The first thing I'm going to do when I get back is take a long, hot soak in the tub." Troy raised his head. "I'm going to the hospital, and after that I'm going to have the biggest cheeseburger in town." "I'm going to fall into my waterbed and sleep for 1,000 years. Brandon looked at Daniel. "How about you? What's the first thing you're going to do when you get back?" Daniel looked embarrassed. "First, I'm going to make sure my mom knows I'm all right." He glanced up at Scotty. "She kind of worries about me. Then I guess I'll go home and call my Uncle Schmitty and tell him all about our time up here." Scotty shifted the weight of the stretcher. "There's something I've been meaning to tell you, Danny boy." Scotty hesitated. "All that stuff I said earlier, you know, that stuff on the bus about your mom, well, I was being a jerk." "Me too," Troy smiled. "But Scotty was the biggest jerk." "You won't get any argument from me." Brandon thumped both of them on the back of the head. Two tiny lights flickered in the distance. They moved closer. "I see it, but I don't believe it." Daniel moved to the center of the road. "It's a truck." The headlights grew larger until a light green truck stopped in front of them. A forest ranger stepped out. "By the looks of things, I'd say you boys must be the lost campers." Brandon clapped Daniel on the back. "Are you kidding? Daniel here knew where we were the whole time." All the time. The ranger helped them put Troy in the bed of the truck. "Looks like you had a rough time, son." Troy shook his head. "Nah, not with Daniel around. He's the one who set my leg." The ranger looked at Daniel. "Sounds like these guys were lucky you were along." Scotty stepped up. "We probably wouldn't have made it without him." The ranger smiled. "There was a reporter from one of the big papers waiting back in town. I'm sure he'll be very interested in how you boys survived the Midnight River." "Reporter?" Scotty slid into the front seat with the ranger. "Did I say we wouldn't have made it without Daniel? What I meant to say was that I was a big part of us getting out alive. Yes, sir, a very big part." Scotty was still talking as he slammed the door. Brandon looked at Daniel and shrugged. "So, he's still a jerk. What can I say?" He jumped up into the back of the truck. "With friends like us, you'll have to stay on your toes." Daniel stepped up into the truck bed. He looked through the window at Scotty, who was still talking the ranger's ear off. Troy and Brandon were discussing what a pain Scotty was. Daniel wasn't really listening. He had stopped at the word friends. The end.